Hello, teammates, friends of mine, partners in the educational endeavor. So, welcome back. This time we're going to take a little mental break, but still important information to talk about the Code of Ethics according to the Project Management Institute. The Project Management Institute has a Code of Ethics centered around these four aspects: responsibility, respect, fairness, and honesty. In my mind, I create really three different folders. One is the project management plan, which we've been discussing. The next one is the other documents, which we have also discussed a little bit. These are working documents for a project manager. And today, right now, we're talking the Code of Ethics. So, as an overview, it comes in these four parts: responsibility, respect, fairness, and honesty, right? And it applies to anyone as long as you're a PMI member, a member of the Institute. When you go to PMI.org and you register for the first time, you are now a member, and these apply to you. It is the key to them is that failing to adhere to these standards of responsibility, respect, fairness, and honesty can have damaging impact on your project. That's why PMI wants you to be aware of that. Remember, you're dealing with project managers and teams from all over the world with varying cultural aspects. Some good, some bad, some better than ours, some worse than ours. It doesn't matter. The point isn't judgment. It's that we all adhere to these standards so that we know where the other is coming from. So it's part of everything we do and key to succeeding, right? And so, for example, if inaccurate schedule wastes resources, that is a failure of the Code of Ethics. Did we do enough planning? Could we have made better choices, right? And you want to document the key decisions and key items like the charter and the work breakdown structure as we go along. Did we as project managers get the right authority, right? And are we acting in the best interests of the project and the company, not self-promoting? Are we active and proactive and in control? So the Code of Ethics says overall that we must promote the Project Management Institute, be loyal to them, ensure no cronyism, that everyone has equal access to us. Also, it reminds us not to cheat on the exam. Got it? Which makes sense to me. Okay. There are two types of standards in the Code of Ethics. One is an aspirational standard. That's what we're going to strive to uphold. And these are notes to help you if you have a question on the exam. An aspirational standard, things you strive for. They're not easily measured, and it's frankly are the expectations we have of ourselves. We aspire to be kind to everyone. Sometimes we're not. But then there are mandatory standards. These are firm requirements, right? They are subject to disciplinary action. Do not steal Coke from the vending machine, right? That's a mandatory action. Expect an ethical response when you get caught. Now, again, I said the Code of Ethics divided into four areas: responsibility, respect, fairness, and honesty. This slide is all about responsibility. I've underlined it at the top. Are we working in the best interests of the project and the company, right? Are we sharing bad news quickly? It does not get better over time. Your word is your bond. So go do what you say you're going to do, what you said you would do, right? Your word is your bond. We don't retaliate against others, and in fact, we don't discipline those who retaliate. No, scratch that. We do discipline those, we do, trust me, who retaliate against whistleblowers. We don't stand for that. Theft, fraud, bribes, no, right? That's pretty easy, but it is addressed in the Code of Ethics, right? But sometimes the topics are a little harder. What about confidentiality? What about copyright notices, right? There are exceptions to copyright notices like the fair use doctrine, right? So I use some of the PMBOK guide in this coursework. I try to give them credit for all of it. I do insist that you refer to the PMBOK guide and even read his book. But from a fair use doctrine perspective, I am just showing you some of them. You really have to go to those documents to get the full weight of what they're trying to say. So you want to uphold the laws and be accountable. Have factual information. Now, under respect, which this slide is about, right, we want to respect multiculturalism, right? Other people have values that are different from ours, but not worse or better. Just share, right? Get to know each other. I open up project meetings with friends in India, asking them to tell me what's going on in India today. I would have no idea, but I want to know what's important to them or on their minds. We do want to avoid ethnocentrism, and that's about looking at the world through our own lens, from my culture's perspective, right? It's okay to have your culture's perspective, but understand that that doesn't allow us to judge the rest of the world, right? And so we want to embrace diversity, prevent culture shock with our team members, expect differences and celebrate them, right? And as a way to ensuring clear communication throughout the process, right? In respect, we want to even respect vendors, so have good faith negotiations. Be direct and open. Create win-win circumstances. Now, this one slide covers both fairness and honesty. Under fairness, be transparent, allow equal access, self-examine yourself. George Washington was great at self-examining, right? Always worried about his name and how it would look, right? And in doing so, we want to avoid bribes. We want to be careful about gifts. The federal government, for example, limits gifts to like $25 or a pen. Frankly, keep your pens. I got enough of them. We want to continuously look for conflicts of interest. In addition, we want to look for what appears to be a conflict of interest, and by all means disclose them. We definitely do not discriminate, rich or poor, race, gender, religion. We're a team celebrating our differences to get the job done. And so we don't discriminate, etc. From an honesty perspective, act on truth, right? Seek the truth. Tell the truth, keep our commitments right. Your word is your bond. Don't deceive others. Okay, so quick quiz. What are the 4 values of the global PMI once you register and become a member? Responsibility, respect, fairness, and honesty. Responsibility is defined as our duty to take ownership for the decisions that we make or fail to make, and actions that we take or fail to take, right? A conflict of interest occurs when we're in a position to influence a decision or outcome on behalf of another party, right? That it can affect others, right? And we might end up with competing loyalties, right? So we always are acting as an employee with loyalty to our employer, right? What is an implication of honesty's mandatory standards? Well, an implication of the honesty provisions is that we take steps to ensure the information we're basing our decision on is accurate, reliable, and timely. Okay. What should you do if your best friend owns a company that bids for a subcontract on our project? Well, we frankly should probably remove ourselves from the selection process and disclose our relationship to stakeholders, right? What if you are brought into an ongoing project and you see that the project status information has not been correctly communicated to stakeholders? What are you going to do? Well, you should notify stakeholders and provide the correct information. And the last item, item 7, you should pause, read it for yourself. Ready. Okay, and to me, what you should do is recall it. That would be the answer. So in the first one, conflict is best resolved by those involved. I do agree with that. I say that's true. There's an exception. If it's a legal or some sort of high level emotional item like breaking the laws or policies, you really need to go to someone. But again, have fact-based information. A project manager who fails to uphold the standards can have damaging impact. Yes, that's true. Okay. In the next one, your schedule's been on time for months. You were prepared to brief the directors in a few minutes. Now one of your team members tells you that the project is falling behind and provides the source data. What would you do? Think about it. Pause the video. You chew on it a little bit. I would say that it's just directors. So you go in there, you say, here's our status, but new information has just come to me. I will have to assess it and get back to you. And would you like to reschedule the meeting or go through what we have now? That sort of thing. If I were briefing the CEO, I would probably cancel the meeting and to not waste their time and reassess. Again, there are 4 parts to the Code of Ethics: responsibility, respect, fairness, and honesty. So what if it's common in country X to provide money outside the normal legal chain in order to gain the appropriate permits to accomplish a construction project? What should you do? Well, PMI would say you want to stay within the legal normal chain. You would also refer to your own company policy. You would make them aware. Is this something everybody does? That it really is part of the normal process within a company. And in the final one, the answer would be true. Okay. And these last couple are just a couple items to chew on, to think about. Okay, that's all I have. That was Code of Ethics: responsibility, respect, fairness, and honesty.